What's going on, Purple Mafia? We're back today. Another Wednesday video. Spring ball has concluded. We are now in the middle of the dark, dark depths of the off season. Thankfully for me, so because my last spring ball video got a whopping 45 views, which is fucking bullshit. But it is what it is. We move. It's time to reach a broader audience. Hopefully there's some people clicking on this video that are not fans of LSU. So I thought, why not do another little tier ranking that I'm sure everyone will agree with. But today we're just ranking, going into 2026, where all the coaches stand, from my perspective within their own fan bases. Are you Shane Beamer? Are you absolutely cooked? You're 100% getting fired at the end of this year? Or, you Kirby Smart and you're good to go. That's what we're going to break down today. I made a tier list on, what is this, tiermaker.com? I don't know. You can do this pyramid yourself and we can compare the results. So I'll put a link to that in the description. But, it's relatively self explanatory. Got all the coaches here lined up at the bottom, got the categories, on fire, getting hot, mild. Everyone's happy. And then, all the new coaches in the honeymoon phase. So we'll start there and glad not to talk about these guys. There's not much to talk about. Everyone is in love with their coach. They can do no wrong. It's already the greatest coach they've already hired in program history. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But there's one school that doesn't seem to apply to, unfortunately, and that is Ryan Silver. Holy shit, Ryan Silverfield from Memphis, new coach at Arkansas. I'll just go ahead and put him in the mild category because I don't think he sounds that excited about his team. I think he had some crazy quotes talking about like, oh yeah, we're definitely not going to be as talented as most of the teams we play on the schedule. Like, I mean, he's not wrong, but it's like, oh, man, to say that, and I think that was in the end of April. Like, what are we doing here? I saw one Arkansas beat reporter say he hasn't seen them complete a 30-yard or more pass in the entirety of what he's seen in spring ball and the media coverage. Truly baffling stuff. Silverfield to me is like a sacrificial lamb, man. I can almost assure you it won't work. They should have fired Pittman years and years ago. I think they kind of got trapped in the same thing Florida did a little bit, where it was pretty obvious Billy Napier wasn't going to be the guy. Because my thing is, man, you see a guy like Clark Lee walk into Vanderbilt. Doormat program has virtually never been good in my entire lifetime. I can't even remember the time they were really good, and he turned it around too. You can't say it's not possible. You can't if Clark Lee was at Arkansas, you don't think he would have even more success in Vanderbilt? I have a hard time believing that. They should have got rid of Sammy Pitt a long time ago. They didn't. It was kind of obvious he was definitely going to get fired going into this past season. And then look, so many major jobs open. Arkansas just got passed up and they had to settle. So I know a lot of people that went to Arkansas fans. No one's really that excited about Silverfield. I mean, maybe some optimism because his new face, but uh, I don't even say he's in a honeymoon phase. There's really nothing to be that excited about. He doesn't even seem that excited. So that covers all the new coaches, I believe. And I'm gonna try to work this from top up here. But the next easiest tier to knock out is the one where everyone seems to be happy. So obviously, look at Kirby in this, man. So young. As football, man, really age you. It's kind of like being a president. Kirby, greatest coach in the history of Georgia football. There's not much to be said there. Got a lot of respect. I won't do any trolling there. Next one. Oh, forgive me. I forgot to put Golish, USF Golish in the honeymoon phase, whatever. I don't think he's going to be that good either, but we move. I'd say Elko at this point. I hate A&M, but I do think he's a good coach. He's delivered. They got a good culture building there, unfortunately. I don't want to give A&M fans any credit. They've been kind of pissing me off recently. Oh, but he's a good coach. He's doing a good job. They play hard. They show up for every big game except Texas. Maybe he's got to start winning those to really elevate himself, but I'm sure it'll come eventually. I'll throw Sarkisian in there as well. I do think there is a chance where all of a sudden he could be on the piping hot seat depending on how this year goes. I've said before, I really do believe there's a lot of similarities between last year's LSU team and this year's Texas team. Got, projected number 1 overall pick quarterback, all these new skill position weapons. You really went all in on the portal. It's like, national championship or bust, basically. And if I would have sat here last year and said the same thing about Brian Kelly, everyone would have said I'm crazy, but probably less crazy than Steve Sarkisian because he's definitely done more in his time at Texas than Brian Kelly ever did at LSU. But I think he'll be fine. I think they'll probably be good this year. I just think there's a bit of a chance things spiral. You pick up a You lose to Ohio State, and all of a sudden you drop like an unexpected early SEC game. Ooh, that pressure would be insanely hot at UT. But for now, everyone's very pleased as they should be. Next, Clark Lee. He's doing the damn job. Had a great 2-year run, greatest 2-year run at Vanderbilt in my lifetime. So not much to be said there. If he went 0-12 this year, I would say it'd be ridiculous to fire him, but I doubt that'll happen. Man, to be honest, past that's really the only group that I see where I legitimately feel like the entire fan base has no qualms about their current coach. Next, we go into this mid tier. Excuse me, not mid. Yeah, actually, kind of. Yeah, this is a mid tier, but excuse me, mild. First is Drinkwitz. He had a lot of interest other places. I mean, maybe he ended up not getting the job anywhere. Uh, I think Missouri fans rightfully are fine with him, but I also understand the qualms that some of them have that I mean, he hasn't won a big game. I mean, his record against top 25 opponents is borderline statistically impossible almost. Like it's almost every single one he's played the entire time he's been there. They've lost. So I mean, he does a good job against the rivals, but you would think, fuck, Brian Kelly beat, a Nick legendary, or not legendary Alabama squad, but a good Nick Saban team. Now you think Drinkwitz would catch a few teams here and there, but he just completely hasn't to this point. So I think they might have given him an extension, but I know not everyone in that fan base is completely sold on him being the messiah of Mizzou. So he's fine. I think this could be one of the better years they've had in the last 2 or 3. I think I like the collection of talent they have. Now they did lose some on defense. He doesn't deserve to be any higher this. He's done a good job overall. It's just can they take that next step, which is every school in the SEC basically wants to do. It's unfortunate but true. Uh, Next year I'll go Venables. Probably some people will be surprised that he's not in the everyone's happy tier. For me, really, it's how they lost that playoff game last year. If they would have just taken care of Bama like they should have in that first round, up 17-0 or whatever, and they completely folded. Uh, at home, man, you had fucking 50 Cent walking out there at halftime. Just a bad string of events. I think he is a good coach, but OU still has those national championship expectations, which I think is unrealistic in this day and age, at least like consistently. But he has done a good job. He game doesn't seem like it. The last one sat right with a lot of people at the end of the year, as it wouldn't for me. So I think he's fine. I think they'll have a good year. I think Mateer's severely underrated going into this season, but we'll see how it goes. And honestly, everyone else I see on this list, they've got a good portion of their fan base nipping at their heels. So first one, probably least controversial, Lebby. I don't know how justified this is. I'm hearing really good things about Kamario Taylor out of camp. Could just be bullshit though. You never know. People are down on him, and Clark Lee's not doing any of these guys favors because on one hand, it's like, yeah, it's Mississippi State. They really don't invest, that much in football. So what can you really expect? But then I would point to Clark Lee, and it's like, well, if you were that good of a coach, you would make it worth it. You can make it work at Vanderbilt 100%. You can make it work at Mississippi State. I think barring disaster, he would probably be back, but I don't know if they have a really bad year. I think the only thing that can save him, using Billy Napier again, it kind of seemed like at the end of 24, the only reason Billy was keeping his job was because of primarily DJ Lagway coming back and the expectations people had for him. And it's like, oh, we don't want to fire Billy because then we're going to lose DJ. And it didn't work out. So I think going into this year, if Kamario Taylor has a good of year as everyone's saying he's going to have, I think he would be fine barring winning like 3 or 4 games. But, we'll see. I think most of the fan base at Mississippi State's relatively realistic, but I have seen people call for his head a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see. I think he'll be okay going this year. The next 2 in this tier is probably going to cause a little bit of controversy. Heupel. And I don't think this one's really that controversial. There is a decent chunk of Tennessee fans that are not a fan of Heupel and would prefer for him to be gone. So he's just mismanaged a lot of things, in my opinion. The Nico situation, you can say what you want about how that all unfolded, how much of that is to blame with him, but, that got out of hand. That really set them back. I do wonder how different things would have been last year with, Nico compared to Joey Aguilar, who was just not going to be good enough. Nice story, but it just wasn't good enough. And then going into this year, they had a lot of the big time portal quarterbacks on a visit, but it didn't seem like they were able to juggle the expectation of trying to figure out, okay, is Joey Aguilar going to be able to come back, or do we need to get a portal quarterback? Kind of seems like they were dipping their toes in, but they didn't want to commit. And all of a sudden, he was the one guy that didn't get the waiver. And now they're, with McIntyre, who's a young quarterback that's never played. He was highly recruited. Faison, who's like a true freshman, or this, backup quarterback from Colorado. It's not good options. It seems like everyone nationally is projecting, Tennessee to have a pretty down year. I would have to agree. The big guy they got in the portal as Coleman, I need to check and see what he's doing. But like as of 2 weeks ago, he wasn't practicing. He was homesick. And I've already heard other people say, with people that would know that LSU wasn't on him, so was Ohio State. There were signs that there could potentially be issues. The Heupel's really not putting his foot down on that, or at least he wasn't. I don't know. That situation has been worked out, or hopefully that kid's not homesick. The dumbest thing ever. If you want to play in the NFL, you can't be homesick. That's just not going to fly. So at some point, you got to get over it, especially when I'm sure he's making over $1 million. So actually, I take that back. I don't really feel that bad. Yeah, so it just seems like a down year. Heupel already has a lot of naysayers in his fan base. I would agree with them. I think that offense they run, just from an overall recruiting standpoint, it does them no favors. It's gimmicky. I know a lot of Tennessee fans don't want to hear that, but it is true. Next, this guy got an extension for absolutely nothing. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama got a huge extension now. I did read somewhere, I want to say, that after a couple years of the buyout, really reduces. So we'll see there. But I mean, I don't really think I have to explain this. The Gumps have Nick Saban expectations, and Nick Saban's not there anymore. And I also think the problem for DeBoer is I don't think Alabama stacks up with like a money standpoint compared to the top 3 or 4 SEC programs in terms of spending. So I think he's at a disadvantage there. I think at quarterback, they're going to be a lot more dynamic. Potentially could be better with Keelan Russell or Austin Mack, whoever they end up going with. But the O-line is still a massive question. So how's that going to shake out? And I wouldn't say they, cleaned up in the portal. So, I mean, they're going to need Ryan Williams to get back to his freshman self. There's just a lot up in the air now. He barring disaster, I could see him getting fired next year because they just gave him an extension. But, you missed the playoffs this year at Bama. He'll be on that on fire tier this time next year. And the next one, Shane Beamer in South Carolina. I put a lot of money on him getting fired at some point next year. The problem for him is he doesn't have the same excuses as Jeff Lebby necessarily. And part of it is, I say he doesn't get the same excuse as Jeff Lebby because I feel like South Carolina fans, they've had a ton of talent over the past 3 years. I mean, Lenore Sellis, Nick Harbor, you go on and on, Dylan Stewart. Like, they have some freaks. It's a bit like LSU. They just can't seem to match it up or get it going all at the right time. Like, they got off to such a bad start in 24, but the way they finished that year, they should have been in the playoff if you were just going on who's good right now. And then obviously last year was a disaster. They did some nice things in the portal from like an O-line perspective. They might have had the only team worse. Their O-line might have been the only team worse in the SEC than LSU's last year. And they got that kid from NC State, and then he big time tackle in the portal. And then, he plays like rec basketball or some shit and he hurts his knee. I heard they've had injuries galore already. They have a new OC, so that'll be interesting, but I don't know. I just don't see it for them. But, that's my list. I'll drop the link to this in the description so that you want to make this tier and submit it, and we can kind of see how it shakes out. But yeah, let's hope these get some good TikTok views. I'd probably piss off a few fan bases, but, that's the goal. And with that being said, that's all I got. Peace.